All right, in example 4, things start to get a little trickier here. We're going to introduce horizontal translations, and so what that means is our graph gets shifted over to the left or the right. Okay, so the very important thing first is to figure out what's your period, and then shift all of your 5 important points over. All right, so in this case, we look at the thing in between the sign and the x. It's a 1. So we know that our period is our normal 2 pi. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and graph it. Now normally, our first point would be at 0. But 0 is going to get shifted over by negative pi over 3. Remember, anytime we're dealing with x, we deal with the opposites. So the way I like to do this is make a little chart. Okay? And I say points 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? So on this, normally our x values would be 0, finish at 2 pi, halfway point's pi, and so we would have pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. But now we need to take those and get added by pi over 3. So our first point is going to be at pi over 3. Our second point is pi over 2 plus pi over 3. So we need some common denominators here. We're going to end up with pi over 6, and we times by 3 to get there, plus pi over 6, and we times by 2 to get there. So 5 pi over 6 is what we're ending up with now. All right. If we come back in here, pi over 3 is the same thing as saying 2 pi over 6. We're jumping by how much each time? We're jumping by 3 pi over 6. Okay, so the next one is going to be 8 pi over 6. And then 11 pi over 6. And then 14 pi over 6. All right, so we come up with our 5 important points, and so we can count them out here. And I'm going to count actually by pi over 6's. So we're going to need 14 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, and so our important points are at 2. Okay, so I'm going to make 2 a little bit bigger. Our important points are at 5, at 8, at 11, and at 14. And remember, we go up to a half, down to negative half, and so we'll draw our important points. It goes up, down, up. What did I skip? Sorry, skip 0. Starts at 0, goes up, back to 0, then down, and back to 0. We've got our nice curve. And our points now are 14 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, and 2 pi over 6. Now if you look in the back of the book, it's going to look a little different because these are going to get reduced, the even ones, to pi over 3, to 4 pi over 3, and to 7 pi over 3. Okay? It's the exact same sine curve, but it's shifted over to the right by pi over 3. All right, see if you can do this. It's a little easier now because it's pi over 2 we're shifting. Okay, do our table here. Normally we have x at 0, pi over 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, and at 2 pi. And we're going to get shifted positive pi over 2. Much easier to add now. We have a common denominator. And so we're going to be able to graph this. We start at pi over 2. down at 0. We're going to go up to 1, down to -1, and do our 5 points. And so we'll finish here at 5 pi over 2. Now notice that it wants us to keep going for 2 full periods. So we'll draw another 4 tick marks. And so we'll have 6 pi, 7 pi, 8 pi, and 9 pi over 2 is where we'll finish. And here we go. We've got all of our points. So pi over 2, then pi, then 3 pi over 2, then 2 pi, then 3 pi, and 7 pi over 2, and then 4 pi. 2 full periods shifted to the right by pi over 2.